Welcome into Sports Tonight. Ooh. Bailey Burmaster alongside Lee Smith today.
The ghost of Lee Smith.
You know, I don't know what happened there.
Dun.
I can only do so many things active at one time.
Casper over here.
I can't.
What's up, guys?
I can't. He was distracting me. Super Bowl. We got a show for you. We're going to get this figured out while I'm talking to you.
Everyone in the background's laughing, by the way. No one can tell this.
We're talking about Super Bowl.
Glowing. I am glowing. I appreciate that, Brett.
I'm not going to lie. I think the light.
I put in a whole lot of effort for this.
I think the light, honestly, is going to become a thing. We got it.
All right.
It's going to become. Okay. Do you feel better about yourself?
I do.
There you go. I'll give you more
dimension.
There we go. Okay. Sports Tonight, people. You never know what's going to happen, especially here at the OTT desk. Okay. We're going to talk Super Bowl week, NBA trade deadline. Tech loses to Wake Forest.
Yeah.
We got to talk about that. Nick Saban's going to join College Gameday. Lee wants to talk about that because we know he loves Bama. But let's get started with some Super Bowl talk. Lee, from what you've seen, what storylines are you paying attention to? What entices you about Super Bowl 58?
Well, I want to see if the 49ers defense can stop Patrick Mahomes in the offense. Because it just seems like no matter what's in his way, dude figures out a way to win. Because I figured like this season they were not clicking on all cylinders on offense, and then they just decided to turn it on when it mattered the most in the playoffs.
I hear you, and I'm interested to see. I mean, I think Patrick Mahomes is one of the most elite, if not the elite guy in the league. Something that really caught my eye this week, and I don't know if you've been seeing this, but just how unserious Super Bowl media day is.
Yeah, it's a joke.
So, like, I'm just can't believe Patrick Mahomes was asked to impersonate Kermit the Frog. Did you see that? He was also asked about his.
That does make me laugh.
He was also asked about his father getting arrested as well for the third time with DUI.
And he couldn't have waited any other week. Like,
correct.
You got 52 weeks in the year, and you had to just do that the week before the Super Bowl, dude.
The one that really, I could not, like, what do you say to this, was a reporter asked Brock Purdy what he thought about his celebrity comparisons, and he didn't know who his celebrity comparison was. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
They asked him how he felt about being the look-alike of Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
And, okay, like, what do you say?
Makes sense. Who cares about football? He
assassinated a president. What do you say to that? And on top of that, it's not a wrong comparison. That's the worst part about it. I don't know what you do about that. And he was just like,
but why do you gotta ask that? It's like,
well, the video's great. You should go if you haven't seen it. Go find it.
Out of all the things you could have done with your life, you chose to go there to Las Vegas just to ask him that one question.
Yeah.
And of course it's going to go viral, I'm sure. Or it's already viral.
I believe a reporter from Germany asked Andy Reid what he felt about the conspiracy theories that he was trying to help one of the political parties get their nominee reelected for president. And he was like, that is above me. Well, like, what are we doing? Well,
it's Wednesday of the Super Bowl, I guess.
I guess so.
I guess that's what you have to chalk it up to.
I mean, interestingly enough, though, both of those included the quarterbacks. And I don't know if people know this, but like Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy know of each other really well, or pretty decently well for quarterbacks, because they were both in the Big 12 around the same time. Brock Purdy was at Iowa State, for anyone who doesn't know anything about Brock Purdy, which is probably a lot of people. And then Patrick Mahomes was at Texas Tech.
Well, hey, we know his doppelganger now.
We do know his doppelganger. We don't need to, but that is it. Our Emily Gagnon was able to sit down with Quincy Avery, who's a quarterback coach and has worked with a lot of quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, I think, is one of his biggest profiles right now.
C.J.
Stroud.
Let's see. God, I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, it's like
Jalen, I think.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. 4 or 5 like super well-known quarterbacks.
So Emily was able to sit down with him and ask him a lot of questions pertaining to the Super Bowl quarterbacks, kind of what Brock Purdy brings to the Niners and what Patrick Mahomes does for the Chiefs. So let's listen in.
Some of the quarterbacks that you've trained throughout your career, who are they?
I've had the pleasure of training a lot of really, really good quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, Justin Fields, Joshua Dobbs, Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith, C.J. Stroud. It's a long list of a lot of very talented young men.
Are you ever surprised that these young men who become really great athletes in the NFL and are looked up to have come to you and interested in you and teaching them things?
It's always interesting when the best people in the world trust you to help them get better at whatever their craft is. So I have the opportunity to work with people who are trying to be like the 1% of the 1%, and they choose me to help them on their journey. So that is something like I don't take lightly.
How do you keep the 1% going? What are the tricks that you use? How do you come up with these things, and how do you stay innovative knowing that these quarterbacks come back to you every single year?
I'm studying constantly, right? I think that anybody who is in the position that I'm in and is not doing everything they can to perfect their craft, to find more information, to find every bit of data out there so that they can help out the people that they're working with, they're doing those guys a disservice. As hard as they work and as hard as they train, it is my job to work just as diligently and just as hard to make sure that I'm prepared to make sure they're at their A game.
What would you say is your specialty when it comes to training quarterbacks? What do you see that others don't? You know, what makes you like the quarterback
I think
guru?
So I think that the thing that I've been able to do really, really well is understand just the way the body's supposed to move, right? And then understanding the situations that you get in throughout a game, which require you to move in different ways, but still be in a position to throw the football. I think that I'm the best in the world at helping quarterbacks go from off-platform to on-platform, and an ability to throw the ball effectively and efficiently.
So when you get a guy, let's say you get him young enough and you can see the talent there, how many years can a guy stay with you, and how quickly how quickly do you see the game change? Is it right away?
It all depends on the kid,
okay.
The young man, right? I've worked with one of my quarterbacks who ended up going to Eastern Michigan. It's a funny story. I tell him all the time. He was in 6th grade, and 8th grade, I was telling his dad, I'm not sure if quarterback's for him, right? I'm not sure if it's gonna click. Then all of a sudden, probably within the next month or two, you just saw a dramatic change, and he went on to get a full ride scholarship, right? So it's like that. It took him a lot longer than it's taken some others, right? There's other guys who just had these innate abilities, and you just have to hone them up a little bit, right? So everybody's at a different stage in their journey. Everybody has something a little bit different that they need to work on that you can help them with, and it's just meeting them where they're at and trying to help get them where they're going.
You are on a journey as well. Where are you in your journey? Because quite frankly, when I sit down with you a lot, I only ask about the guys you train, but I don't ask about you. You've been doing this for years. Where are you in what your goal is in this whole thing?
My goal is to be the best in the world at the thing that I'm doing, right? And I'm constantly in pursuit of that. I think that I am one of the best. I would probably consider myself the best in the world at the thing that I'm doing, which is, to me, an amazing accomplishment. And it's just trying to, I know there's another me out there, a younger version of me who's trying to catch me. So it's making sure that I keep doing the things that I can do to stay ahead of the curve.
Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Are you going?
I fly out tomorrow.
I knew you were going to say that. So you wouldn't miss it. The two quarterbacks who are playing. Let's kind of just talk about really quickly what I think is unique about this Super Bowl is you have basically a vet versus a rookie. And I'm not saying that Purdy is a rookie in the definition of a rookie, but he's a very much younger quarterback versus Mahomes, who has a ton of experience in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So do you look at it that way? Do you look at the experience and say, okay, or does that matter to you?
I think the experience always matters, right? Playing in a Super Bowl is so different than any experience ever. It's a game that's an hour longer, right? You got the whole week, and everybody's focused on you. The whole world, the whole football world, all eyes are on you. and they're even more closely focused on the quarterback position. So I think having the experience that Patrick has, like having done this before, gives him a tremendous advantage. I'm going into this week, but Brock Purdy, who's somebody who's been able to play at a really high level, so I'm excited to see kind of how he handles it.
I mean, I don't think I would have been able to say this, but you, having watched quarterbacks, might have been able to catch on here. But he was Mr. Irrelevant. Last pick in the draft 2 years ago. Now he is starting for the 49ers. He had to beat out some pretty big names to get there. One guy that you trained, and that's not to say anything about him, but there were injuries involved, and when you get your job and you keep your job, it is what it is. So some people, though, who don't watch the game, and there are a lot of those during the Super Bowl, right? My mom's going to watch. She usually doesn't watch. She wants to watch the commercials, but she'll watch the game too. She'll say, where did this guy come from? Where did this Purdy guy come from? So in your opinion, did you know this was going to happen with him? Or should we say, he just came out of nowhere?
I don't think anybody knew this was going to happen with him. It's actually funny if you watch his last season at Iowa State compared to the guy we see now. It's much different just in terms of the arm strength, his ability to generate force with the football. And I think you should tip your cap to the people he worked with, like his quarterback trainers. Not necessarily the quarterback staff with the 49ers, but I know he works with a really good group of guys down in Florida, and they've helped him out tremendously, right? Just his arm strength from now to where he was before. Brock Purdy is not someone who blows you away with their talent, right? He makes great decisions, he throws on time, and he throws with anticipation. I think he just needed that extra little push, right? That extra little ability with his arm so that he could be a successful thrower of the football. And now that he has that, he's able to really maximize his performance. So the guy that they drafted is not the guy that we see today. So it's very, very, like seeing that guy, you wouldn't think that you would get this performance that they have today.
And are you impressed when guys, and you can talk about him specifically if you want, but are you impressed when you see guys do that? I mean, I certainly am, but just from your perspective, how hard is it to go from that guy to this guy?
It's so difficult to change anything in a throwing motion, right? To change anything that you've done hundreds of thousands of times, throw a football, to put in the dedicated work to do that, that is something that speaks highly to him as a person, right? He's committed to working really, really hard, committed to taking coaching, and committed to getting better. So that is something I think he should be applauded for at the highest level.
How many Chiefs games have you watched this year?
Watched a bunch. I watched a lot of tape on the Chiefs.
So tell me, Patrick Mahomes obviously playing in his 4th Super Bowl. He's won 2, lost 1, could get to 4, very young age still. Started 6 years with Kansas City. So in his 6 years, he's gone to the Super Bowl 4 times. That's pretty good, right? But this season, if they win, if the Chiefs win, would you think that he might say this is his best performance given that they've struggled the most this season offensively?
I think he continues to get better, but I think this team is so much different than some of the other teams. Their defense is, like, really, really good. And he doesn't have, like, he's not putting up the same stat. Like, you watch his last game, right? The second half was really kind of pedestrian in terms of, like, the things that he did. I would say that he's been able to maximize everybody around him. And I think that that is a skill that you need to have if you want to win Super Bowls. So I wouldn't say that this is his best year, right, or best performance. It's been an amazing display of leadership, leading a team, getting guys to rally around you, and making plays when they need to be made.
Have you, and you might not be able to answer this, but I do want to get your opinion on it. Do you feel like he's reinvented himself in any kind of way?
I don't know if he's reinvented himself, but I know that he's committed to doing things the right way. And that, as a quarterback, I think is what makes you special. Like, we talk so much about, like, the Tom Brady and things like that. Tom Brady made a living by throwing 5- and 6-yard routes, like just finding completions and moving the ball down the field. Yes, we see a few of the wild plays from Patrick Mahomes every game, but 90% of it is him just making the right decision over and over and over, even when that right decision may seem boring, right? And I know that there's a lot of people who, in their jobs, right, they do the same thing over and over again, and it gets like a little boring. They're like, well, let me just try and throw a little pizzazz on this one. And you might not get the result you wanted, right? Mahomes is not done that at all this year, and I think that's what makes him special. Having that much talent, but then having the knowledge to know, like, let me just do the right thing.
And I know you said Tom Brady, and I wasn't even going to mention it because I don't like to compare because I mean, no one person's the same, right? And like, you're around athletes all day, and all people want to do is like compare one quarterback to the next. So I don't necessarily want to do that with you, but do you feel like Patrick can be mentioned among some of the best once he's done?
Yeah, I think that the things that we've seen him do, right? I feel like every year, for the exception of one as a starter, he's taking his team to this, at least the AFC Championship, right? So he's doing things that nobody else has been able to do. So watching him play each and every week, seeing the things that he does, to me, his career right now is already better than Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers is someone who we had in that greatest of all time debate. So I don't think that we'd be far off by saying he's right there.
And let me ask you this, and I'll have to take you back to years ago because he has been in the league for a while. Texas Tech, obviously, I mean, when he was there, I don't even know if they played defense. I mean, they would score, 70-plus points or whatever the case may be. It certainly isn't SEC football. But did you have an inkling that he could be this great?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. And Mahomes actually threw with us. We were in California one time, and this is while he was in college. Had the opportunity to see him out there. And it was funny because he hadn't done a lot of the things that he was going to end up doing in the NFL. Didn't have to read defenses as much. Didn't have to take a drop from under center. There's a lot of things that you have to do to play in the National Football League he hadn't done. So seeing that, there was no way that I could have envisioned he'd be where he is today from that point. But he's someone also, like, went into a really good situation, right? Behind Alex Smith, got to learn, got to see how a pro works. Alex Smith, to me, is a consummate professional, right? And Mahomes got a chance to see that, and I think that played a lot of dividends to the rest of his career.
Let me ask you this. If you could correct something, I don't even know if correct's the right word, but if you could do anything different with either of the quarterbacks that are playing, what would that be? Or maybe you might say nothing. Is there anything that when you watch it as like your position, what you do for a living, irks you?
I wouldn't say irks, right? I just wish Brock Purdy was just a little bit more physically gifted, right? But I think he's maximizing potential, so I don't say that in a negative way. I think Brock Purdy's he's someone who's getting the most from everything that he has. So boom, that's that. Mahomes, it's hard to say, right? What he could really do better at this point. He's super accurate. He's smart. He makes good decisions. Maybe if he was a little faster, right? Maybe we could add like the Lamar Jackson wheels or something. But other than that, Mahomes he's like the gold standard right now.
Are you surprised at all, and this is getting into predictions a little bit, that these are the last two quarterbacks standing after the season that we just had?
Not one bit. I don't think anybody could, right? These are two guys who've been playing as good as anybody else. Brock Purdy, I'm going to be honest, I was a little surprised. I've seen him struggle in some first halves, and that snowball later in the game, like just not be able to make a correction like the Baltimore Ravens game. Threw an interception early, wasn't able to come back. But to see him struggle early against the Green Bay Packers and then just have the mental toughness to like, I'm going to go in at halftime, I'm going to reset, I'm going to be the best version of myself, and then do that.
How hard is that to do that? Like for somebody watching us, a mom who's never.
It's so difficult, right?
Yeah,
it's so difficult to like just mentally reset, right? Get back in a good spot mentally and just go make good decisions. Because you start to press, you start knowing like, man, I messed it up. Like, let me go make this play. But if you take it one play at a time, it gives you opportunity to do what he's done.
So you expect some good quarterback play come Sunday? I
hope so, right? I hope we see top tier quarterback play. I'm expecting it from Mahomes, and I hope to see it from Brock.
Okay. Nicely put. Do you have a prediction yet? As of now, Vegas is saying that in Vegas, it will be the 49ers who take the dub.
Well, I would bet against that, right? If I'm a betting man, I would definitely be betting on the Kansas City Chiefs. I always try and bet with the better quarterback, and we all remember how Kyle Shanahan folded with the Falcons with those play call selections.
You had to bring it up, didn't you?
I'm just saying, like, he's shown a propensity to really have a poor understanding of clock management from the end of half situations to the end of that game. So we'll see.
Okay, so we'll have a lot more coming up on the Super Bowl as we get down to Super Bowl Sunday. Hoping for a very good game. All right,
Yep.
we have to talk a little bit about the NBA trade deadline. That is tomorrow at 3 p.m. There's been so much speculation over the last 2 months, really, of what will the Hawks do, what will happen with DeJounte Murray. They go on a 4-game winning streak over some big teams, whether it's the Warriors, the Suns, you name it. It was pretty impressive, but
Yep.
makes you wonder if maybe the front office for the Hawks was like, hey, we can roll with
Let's
this.
salvage this.
Let's not do anything. It is interesting. They are playing the Celtics tonight. Last I checked, DeJounte Murray was questionable with some back
Yep.
tightness, soreness.
We'll see if that means anything.
Correct. It could be one of those things
Could be.
where you get down to the NBA trade deadline at noon tomorrow and everything implodes. So we will see. It's something worth watching. Do have a big game against the Celtics tonight, however. Sticking in the basketball realm, Georgia Tech. What do you make of them, Lee Smith? Because let's just say this. They, for the first time in school history, I believe, beat Duke and UNC in a season.
I don't think it was the first time ever,
Was
but
it?
it has been.
Like
It's
2000 and something?
yeah. It's definitely.
Either way,
It's still a big deal.
to do that
They haven't done it in a while.
and then get whopped at home
Yeah.
by
that-
Wake
yeah.
Forest.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's
not great, but when you consider the fact that they did beat, I mean, it's Damon Stoudemire's first year. So realistically, like, what do you really expect them to do? If they're a tournament team, that's fantastic.
No, but it has
If they
to be,
win a game in the tournament, that's like, I mean, that's way exceeding expectations.
it's got to be frustrating to beat some of the best and then lose to nobodies.
For sure. But I mean, that's college basketball this year. I don't know if there's one great team.
They got to build foundation somewhere. But let's hear from what Coach had to say after their loss at home last night.
The thing about it is you don't have a big margin for error, so, I could use the excuse of being flat, but I'm going to say, we just didn't come ready to play. Like, it's a make or miss game, so you're going to make shots, you're going to miss shots, but that don't mean you don't play hard. And I just didn't think we played hard collectively. It's not one person. And then what happened is when you start missing shots and then they score and feel like we took some difficult shots and, it just kind of got away from everything. We weren't getting downhill. We weren't creating advantages. We weren't making plays for one another. It just makes it harder, because Wake Forest is a really good team when they don't have resistance on the offensive end. And we didn't give them any resistance. And so, they were just running out on our misses, and, they was attacking us off the bounce. And, that collectively, we just didn't have the juice tonight.
Yesterday you said you felt this team was close. I mean, any explanation for now not maybe being so close?
I did. I'm not going to backtrack on those words. I felt it, but the game didn't show it, period. I always say this, and coaching kids is tricky from the standpoint of, like, I'm always pulling for them, individually, but I know more than they know from this standpoint. Like, none of them today will get out of basketball what they want if they don't do it together. And so for me, that is the most disappointing thing. Today's game, for me, was just a reminder that, as I move forward, with the next 8-9 games that we have left and then moving forward in this program, you got to keep getting guys lost in the little things, because when you're not making shots, what else do you do on the court? And so that's what the situation that you had tonight. So when you got so many people struggling, it's like, what else do you do? Are you getting lost in the game? And that's winning 50-50 balls. That's rebounding with two hands. I don't know who it was on our team. I can't really remember right now, but I always say this, man, if you don't dive for a ball, you're going to get your ACL torn. So in front of their bench, somebody on their team dove for the ball, and we was down there reaching for the ball. Like, it's just, like, you know, you got to get lost in the little things. And, you know, when you're struggling to turn the game and to get things back, which we've done a lot this season, you know, you got to dig a little deeper and do the little things. I just didn't feel like we did any of the little things, and we didn't get lost in the game. You know, again, you know, to be in games like this where it gets out of hand so early, you know, as I was telling them in timeouts, there's no 20-point play. So you got to get a stop and a score, you know, and you got to get, you know, continue and build that up and go from there. But, you know, we just compounded, you know, a mistake with a mistake, you know, and so some of it is youth, and some of it is just not knowing how to win, and then some of it is not knowing how to protect yourself. You know, I've been in games like this, and you can look it up. I've been in 2 of the worst losses in history of the NBA. History. When I was in Portland, we lost to Cleveland by 63, I think it was, and we lost to Indiana by 59. So I know what these games feel like, and I know what they look like. But even in defeat, not making shot, we play hard. And you got to play hard because at times you got to just learn how to save yourself by playing hard. You just play hard. And when you play hard, we probably wasn't going to win the game, but you're playing hard. So you individually have some that you can hang your hat on instead of us coming back. And now you leave it in the coach's hands to say, did he play hard? Is he still all in? Is he bought in, or or is he wavering? Is he, you know, what does that look like? So that for me was the disappointing thing, because the game never got to any type of strategy. There was no strategy, so you can't, you know, from that standpoint, we're just talking about playing hard, and we didn't do that.
You often talk about, you know, what you do on the offensive end translates to the defensive end, and of course not making shots. What made it so easy for them to get in the paint and score in the paint like they did?
Well, it's human nature. When you're not scoring as a team or an individual, like, it's human nature. You tend to not play that type of defense unless you are on that type of team. You know what I mean? And so, you know, we got a little loose with it, transition. I mean, a couple times in transition, the ball was being guarded, and we had another guy running the ball. You know what I mean? So some of it was uncharacteristic, and some of it was just, you know, you got to have feel for the game. You know, and, you know, we've struggled a bit guarding the ball, you know, all season. But at the same time, too, it was more than just, you know, getting beat off the bounce. It was backdoor cuts. It was, you know, offensive glass. It was different things that they were doing.
Okay, we're going to dip out early out of coach because we're running out of time here on Sports Tonight. Lee, I'll let you do what's on your mind, which is also our last topic.
All right. Nick Saban's joining Game Day. It's pretty cool. If you'd like to get some X's and O's, some little insight that you wouldn't have gotten previously. Now, you did say that you were concerned about the tone. You don't like because he's a little monotone, a little dry, a little bit?
Monotoned, and delivery matters.
Okay, all right. It does, but also substance matters. He's got a whole lot of content coming.
In a similar stance, too, I guess I'll keep it with monotoned but good content. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady said he's actually surprised he wasn't hired for one of the opening head coaching positions, which I think is a fair statement to say.
Oh, yeah.
Would you rather have Nick Saban or Bill Belichick in a presser?
Oh, Nick Saban.
I'm with you. Okay, would you rather listen to Bill Belichick or Nick Saban on TV?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a toss-up. Either.
It could go either way.
Yeah.
All right, that will do it for this edition of Sports Tonight. Make sure to join us throughout the rest of the week. We'll have a lot of good stuff concerning the Super Bowl. You won't want to miss it. But for now, that does it for Lee. I'm Bailey Burmaster. You all have a great night.